cruise news time. We got a hodgepodge of topics today, and the main story is a cruise cancellation for a really weird reason. Mother Nature strikes back, maybe? I don't know. Cruise news. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to La Lido Loca. I'm your host, Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates, and it's my last day. It's my last day on the Island Princess, and we've got some wacky time changes, so it's like 6 in the morning, but it's 8 at home. I don't know. We're almost to Los Angeles, California, and but we're here. And so let me set the show up for you today. It is Tuesday. It is the 10th of May, and I've got a couple cruise news stories for you. I want to give you a cruise life update. I didn't share with you guys what I did in Huatulco. And also I want to show you some of the specialty restaurant food we've been having. So what do you want first? Do you want the cruise life update, or do you want the cruise news? All of this stuff is time-stamped in the description, so if you want to jump around, it's right under your screen. Let's do the cruise life update first. Let's talk about Huatulco, Mexico. Really cool cruise port. First time we were there, and I got off and I did a ship excursion. I did a best of Huatulco, and so let me just give you the highlights. It was a bus tour. You had to walk from the cruise ship to the bus. You get on the bus, and they took us to, first they gave us a little tour around the island, a lot of resorts, a lot of hotels on Huatulco. I didn't really film much of that. I wasn't super interested in the hotels, but they were nice, as it were. You could see the outside, you could see the gate, but they'd stop and they gave us some looks over these vistas, some beautiful bays there in Huatulco. This is one of them, and then they took us downtown, or they took us to the old town, and they took us to a couple places. They took us to a shop where they provided us some water, and then we went to a rug making facility where they described to us the traditional rug making, textile making process with a loom. That was cool. Of course, shopping available at all of these areas, and then we walked from there and looked at a new old church. So this church was only in place for about 22 years, but they took some wood from some older churches. So it's really a classic old-looking church there in Huatulco. Then we got back on the bus, and my favorite thing on the bus tour is like, it's just like a taste. It's like a tasting menu. You get a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's not too intensive, but I always like a bus tour that gives you a cool view of the cruise ship. And our last stop was this bluff that overlooked the port there, and we got to see the cruise ship. And so a pretty cool day in Huatulco. I didn't know much about the port. Again, there's a lot right there at the port area. There's a free beach that you can swim in, and I might contemplate doing that the next time that I was there. So that was pretty cool. Now I want to share with you some images from the specialty restaurant that we've gone to twice now. This is the Bayou Cafe and Steakhouse. It's interesting. It's got a kind of a Cajun menu. You can get gumbo and alligator, but it's a steakhouse at the same time. We've eaten there twice. I'm going to give you the highlights from the meals that I've had. My favorite appetizer that I tried over there was the grillades, the sausage grillades. This is just sausage and grits, sausage and cheese grits. The sausage, boom, kicked up, very spicy, very tasty. I would recommend this. And then we went with some friends, and they're like, they got a porterhouse over there, and I'm thinking, man, it's been a minute since I've ordered a big slab of beef, and I got the old porterhouse here, medium rare. The appeal of the porterhouse is if you do the work, if you separate the meat from the bone, one side of the meat is the meat of the filet mignon, very soft, very tender, very lean, and then the other side is where the New York strip comes from. I mean, I'm not a butcher, but I'm pretty sure that's the way it breaks down. And so you get a little bit of that New York strip steak, and then you also get a little filet mignon on the other side. It was all quite delicious, and they had a variety of desserts. I've tried two, and the one that I'm going to highlight here is this fried peach dessert. And I'm ashamed that I didn't take any pictures after I cut it open. But inside that luscious dough pocket that's got a little sugar sprinkled on it is a whole half peach, like a canned half peach. You cut that bad boy open, it's sitting on a vanilla crema there, and that's a cranberry jam on the side. Yeah, It was good. So the cool thing about especially restaurants on Princess is they're really reasonably priced. $29 and you get a great meal. Of course, the service on the Island Princess has been off the chain. So that's a little bit of a taste of the cruise life. Slide over into the cruise news. But first, let me quickly invite you to subscribe if you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising. Please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you don't miss out on any of these episodes. Make a daily show. The best way to stay connected to that daily show, that cruise life, that cruise update, is to do that. Hit the subscribe notification bell. It doesn't cost anything. It's just a way for YouTube to notify you when the show comes out. And a quick update to those out there that are concerned about my hand movements. People are like, could you do the show if you didn't move your hands? The reality is, if you go back a couple years, you can see that I can do the show without moving my hands. And also the reality is, less people watch the show. So I think the hands are here to stay. And so I apologize if that's too disruptive for people. But yeah, it's a hand and face show. How about that? Ooh, they do. All right, let's just do the cruise news. Yeah, I just say that because, like, I feel bad for people, like, typing the comments, like, do you know your hands are moving? I do know they're moving, but I appreciate the feedback. But it's, again, I just hate for you to waste your time saying, oh, please stop moving your hands, because the reality is they're here to stay. They're here to stay. Cruise news, here we go. The big story is the Celebrity Eclipse. They're getting ready to start their Alaska season. They have a cruise on May the 15th. They have a cruise on May the 22nd. Well, correction, they had a cruise on May the 22nd, but that has been canceled. So it is cancellation day for those on the Celebrity Eclipse going to Alaska. And the reason this cruise has been canceled is because the lobsters and the crabs are in revolt. Sickened at how many of them are consumed on cruise ships. They put the word out through the seas. They contacted Aquaman. They put the word out through the seas and said, can we stop this cruise? And their distant cousins, the barnacles said, yeah, we can help you out. No, look, that's a long way to go to say that the ship's got barnacles. Do you know what barnacles are? These are, what do they call them? Suspension feeder. They're kind of like parasites. They're an organism. They're in the crustacea family, so they're slightly related to crabs and lobsters. They attach to stuff, and then they filter the sea through them. That's how they feed. Like they plankton, much like a whale. They also take impurities out of the ocean, but the challenge is they have to attach to something to live their life, and they often attach to the hulls of ships, and enough of these small barnacles have attached to the hull of the Celebrity Eclipse that it's impacting its ability for propulsion, its ability to do its cruises. And these things will attach to a variety of things, including sea life. Barnacles attached to sea turtles is a challenge, and you have to be careful when you remove them for two reasons. You don't want to damage the environment. Like, you can use chemicals and stuff like that to remove them, but you don't want to put chemicals in the water. But also, the removal process can also damage the hull of the vessel, and so you don't want hull damage to your vessel. And so you got to go into dry dock to remove the barnacles. Now, when I was a kid, I have an uncle who is a sailor, and he had a sailboat, and I always used to get to sail the sailboat. And ironically, I would get to sail the sailboat around the time that it was to, pull the sailboat out. So there was always one good sailboat trip. You pull the thing out of the water, and then you know what we would do? We'd scrape barnacles. The life of a sailor, you know what I'm saying? I think I did it one time. Don't let me over exaggerate, but I was so excited to go out into the Gulf of Mexico on this little sailboat and sail out. We got caught in a storm. We broke the rudder. I think that's how I got my sea legs, right? Like we're on the Pacific Ocean right now, and the ship's been for like a whole day. It hasn't bothered me because I think that time that we broke the rudder in the Gulf of Mexico and had to use a trawling motor to get back so that we could scrape barnacles. I think it was 16, 17. Anyways, I think that's where I got my sea legs. Barnacles. They've stopped the Celebrity Eclipse on the 22nd. Full cancellation. Now, the cool thing on the full cancellation is they're going to give them an alternate sailing, and you can get they can get a refund. They're doing stuff for the people on the 22nd. They're also doing some stuff for the people on the 15th. One of the big things is they're shortening the amount of time. They're going to do the cruise anyways, but they're going to shorten the time that they're going to be at all the stops in Alaska in probably a real detrimental way. It wasn't clear from the article that I was reading that they're getting any more compensation than a $100 onboard credit. So hopefully those folks are also able to cancel their cruise. If you're on the 15th sailing of the Eclipse, please let me know. Are you able to cancel? Can you change your cruise up? Or are you stuck with the shortened sailing? I think like they're only going to spend 12 hours in Alaskan ports, not long enough really to do any excursions. All the excursions are getting canceled, and so yeah, it's wild. It's wild, but it happens, right? So these barnacles grow on cruise ships. They grow on really the hulls of every kind of marine vessel, and there's got to be some sort of maintenance to get that cleaned up. So I'm not sure what the cycle is, but that's one of those examples of when nature strikes back. Dun 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 dun. Boom! That's your 6 a.m. West Coast cruise news. It's a weird time to make sure that I give you the show at 12:15, pretty early today, and it was a late night testing the fates in the casino. I played a different game last night. Look, I also got to tell you about this. The night before last, the comedian, I got put on the spot. The comedian was looking for volunteers, and then the audience members started yelling out my name, and as reluctant as Big Tony is to go and be in front of people, I got called on stage. I got put on the spot. I'm going to share that with you tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. Look, thanks so much for checking out the show today. I hope you enjoyed it. I know that I enjoyed it. Please do me a favor, hit the like button, and unfortunately, if you don't hit the like button, I will be forced to punish you, and your punishment will be this. Before you can go on your next cruise, you have to spend a day and a half working for the cruise lines, removing barnacles from the cruise ship. How about that? Hit the like button. This is Tony for La Lido Loca. Until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido